we move on to react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. And we start off in not in South America, but yeah, in South America. Even though he's at Liverpool right now playing for his club. Darwin Nunez has been banned 5 games for the Copa America brawl. This is a 5 game international suspension. It was handed out by Canumble on Wednesday. Nunez was one of 5 Uruguayan players to be suspended. Not only Darwin Nunez suspended, but Rodrigo Bendincor, he was issued a 4 game suspension. Jose Jimenez, Matias Oliveira, and Ronaldo Araujo, they also received 3 game suspensions for this. And, and you know, that's big thing. If y'all remember, afterwards, Marcelo Bielsa came out not after the suspensions being announced, but after the brawl. Marcelo Bielsa came out saying, "The only thing I can tell you is that the players reacted like any other human being would. If you see that there's a process to keep what's happened from happening, if you see that if what happened happens anyway, and that there's supposedly another process, an escape hatch, let's say, and both things fail, and you see your woman or your mother or a baby being attacked, what would you do? You ask whether they're going to punish the people who defended themselves." Look, I feel a great deal of compassion for especially Darwin Nunez, because he's the one that received the 5 game ban. But in the rest of them, right? Bentancur, all that. And you're defending for your family, right? You're defending your family. Your family in the stands is getting rowdy. The Conumble and the stadium organizers in Conumble and all that, they didn't do a good job enough of separating the fans as they would do if this game was played in South America, because the Americans sort of we're not really used to American sports. It doesn't really get rowdy in the stands the way it would in a Conumble World Cup qualifying tie, or even in certain European, European, Champions League games. The sort of violence you see you don't really see that in American sports. So something that the stadium police officers weren't really expecting. And yeah, it got bad, and then players had to go in and throw punches and all that. Look, that's a bad look for everyone. The players having to go into the fans throwing punches, and it's not something that Conumble wants to really be the sort of shown out to players. Not shown out, but doesn't want it to be the face of Conumble. Oh, this is going on. This is Conumble. No, they don't want that. And it's a bad look. And they had to do something about it. I just think it was a little excessive, because they're defending their families. And again, with Marcelo Bielsa saying any human being will go out and protect their family if they see them getting abused in the stands, or even assume that they might be in danger. They're gonna go out and defend them. And I don't know, to a certain extent, maybe they deemed that the punches and the fighting was a little excessive and unnecessary. I don't know how they came to this conclusion, but yeah, it's in my opinion a harsh suspension towards them. I do think Conumble needed to do something, because they need to send the message that this is not tolerated. They need to send the message that this will never happen again. And if you do something like this, you'll get in big trouble. And they needed to send some sort of message to get that message across, right? But you gotta keep in mind too, these people, they're just defending their families, And we saw what Jose Maria Jimenez said afterwards the game as well, talking about how this has been organized and how it's been a farce and all that. But yeah, I just think the suspension is hard. And man, this is big for I can't put into words how big these sort of suspensions are for Uruguayan national team. Darwin Nunez will miss 5 games. 4 of them will be Conumble World Cup qualifying ties. These are, qualifiers going up against Paraguay, Venezuela, who had a good Copa America, Peru, Ecuador. These are huge ties that they're going to be missing. and it puts Uruguay right now, they find themselves in a position that they're you know not comfortable, because it's never comfortable, but they have 13 points and they're second place in Colombo World Cup qualifying. But sort of suspension like that can completely change the deal, and with how tight Colombo is across the board, that could put Uruguay in a really precarious situation going in. Now, there's a little bit more room for error with the 48 team World Cup, which gives, I believe it gives Colombo around 7 spots to the World Cup, which is more than about 2 more than the last than the 32 team format. But still, at the same time, for me, that can put them in some serious situation, a dangerous situation, and something Marcelo Bielsa is going to have to handle, because it's not just Darwin Nunez. He's going to be missing Araujo, and this is Araujo. He's out for injury, so the suspension won't start until he actually returns. He's going to be able to play. Jose Jimenez, Matias Oliveira, Rodrigo Bentancourt, he's a pivotal midfielder for them as well. You're going to be losing a lot of depth players too for a few games, and it's going to make that situation just even more tricky for Marcelo Bielsa to handle in the tough, in my opinion, the toughest confederation to qualify for the World Cup from, in Conambo. And yeah, I think overall the suspensions were harsh, to say the least. I talked about Barcelona. They've made a loan offer for a Bejetic. Tonali, he returned from his 10-month ban of his betting ban in the Carabao Cup against Nottingham Forest. Newcastle went on in that Carabao Cup tie to move on penalties 4-3 after Joe Willock scored literally a minute in, and then Jota Silva equalized in the 50th minute. It went to penalties, in which Newcastle were able to win. So that's a good result for Newcastle to move on. But most important thing, Tonali, he was able to play. He started, and we'll see if he's going to be involved this weekend as they take on Tottenham. Big game coming up there, by the way. Nemo Ochoa, Raul Jimenez, Chucky Lozano, they're all out of the first Mexico call-up for Javier Aguirre. They will not be involved in the squad. Mexico are playing against New Zealand in Rose Bowl, and then Canada at the AT&T Stadium, and those players will not be involved. Aguirre's list includes Santiago Jimenez, Cesar Montes, and Marcelo Flores. Edson Alvarez is not gonna be in the squad because he's still regaining full fitness after recovering from the injury, and Alex Padilla, he's the sole player in this sort of squad that's representing Mexico for the first time at the senior level. The Spanish-born goalkeeper for Athletic Club, he's going to be involved. And yeah, it's a new era for Mexican football, and I'd like to see it start on their way. Then getting in a coach like Javier Aguirre that sort of has that experience, coaching the Mexican national team. And I like to see how they do. There's some serious issues with going on there with the fact that they didn't even get out of the group stages with Copa America. Same with the U.S., but the U.S. went out and got a top coach in Pochettino. Mexico, they didn't get a top coach in Javier Aguirre, but a coach that can sort of smooth it over and sort of make it a smooth transition, as eventually Rafael Marquez will take over. And we know what Rafael Marquez was doing, coaching for the Barcelona youth team. I'm interested to see how, this new Mexican national team looks. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Let's go. I wake
wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.